Hey everybody, it is Kulipup here again, and I wanted to talk about frequency fluctuations. You know, I've got so many people who are in the Frequency 51 group, and we are all developing and we are all progressing. However, there are times when we both develop and digress in our frequency, or our frequency will decrease during our journey. And I just wanted to explain that a little bit, you know, because I know I posted a frequency update for a lot of members, and it was jarring because, you know, the ones who of course did increase and so forth, and you know, or had a small fluctuation, one was like, oh, okay, or thank you, or that was great. But there were some members who did fluctuate quite drastically, and this caused a lot of confusion. And I don't want confusion, because confusion breeds doubt. Doubt is fear, and fear, well, we all know about fear. We don't want fear around, because fear will make you make some pretty poor choices and poor decisions. And I definitely don't want anybody to be in fear. So I'm going to do my very best to explain a little bit more about frequency fluctuation. So first thing we have to all appreciate, and I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, you have to enjoy the journey, okay? You have to enjoy the journey of this path of spiritual enlightenment. And when I say enjoy it, I mean to enjoy something, you need to be living in it. You need to be living in your now moment. And you need to be experiencing everything that is going on around you. Not just on a physical basis, but on also an ethereal basis. You know, you've got to be noticing everything around you. We're all too focused on the destination and not the journey. So what am I really getting at here? Well, we've come through to a point in time where the enlightenment process has been triggered, and we are all feeling it. You've got a choice. You either raise frequency or you don't. You are being called to do this, and you are being pushed to do this. And every single person has a choice to make, whether they choose to raise frequency or they don't. This is not a choice that is only for a select few. It is for all of mankind, because we are being called to evolve right now. So we've got a lot of people who are just waking up. Their pineal glands are starting to activate. Everything's starting to open. They're starting to experience things. They're starting to feel their abilities, their sentience, their empathy, their clairvoyancy, their gustance, their audience, you know, communicate mediumship. You know, people are starting to hear and see spirits and communicate with them on a regular basis. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. Everybody's waking up. And then you start learning about frequencies and what they mean, right? And then you start seeing patterns, and then you start discovering truths and falsehoods, and you finally feel your heart for the first time in so long, since you were a kid. Because kids feel their hearts. Adults feel their minds. But people are now starting to reconnect with their heart. And it may not be fully, and it may not be super strong right now, but it is that connection which is calling you to better yourself. So, you've gotten to this point in your journey so far. You've done the research, you've opened your eyes, you've discovered frequency levels, you've discovered frequency 51, and you're learning so much and you're feeling so much, right? However, what happens, or what's happened, is that we got way too caught up in the destination. We learned about frequency levels, so our goal is now to raise our frequency as fast as we can, because we want to be that enlightened person. We want to be that person who is void of fear, who can walk through life with your shoulders back, your chest high, you know, never knowing what your shoes look like because you never bow your head anymore, right? We all want to be that person, but we all forget to be that person. We need to understand who that person is, how they got there, what they did, what they noticed, you know, just what they experienced. And we're forgetting about this, right? This is the thing about waking up. Think of it as a baby, you know, a baby is born into this world. It realizes, wow, shit, I've got hands, I've got legs. Like, this is cool. And this is amazing. I'm breathing life, you know, like my lungs are filling up. Like, I have this lovely lady next to me, and she makes me giggle and she makes me smile. And I have this beautiful, strong gentleman beside me who just makes me feel safe and warm. But then we have our first shit. And it's big and full of diarrhea. And we're like, wow, that didn't feel very good. No, it didn't. And then we go on, and then we still feel love and we still feel joy as a baby with our eyes open. But then we start feeling the hardships of life. And then we realize that these things happen all regularly. And then we need to start combating them, because we want those happy feelings, we want those happy thoughts. But we have to work for them now. Okay? And it's the same, and again, so many people, how many times have you heard this saying, you know, when people are like, oh, I can't wait for my kids to get out of the house, and then somebody comes around and says, you should enjoy the moment with them now, because once that moment's passed, you're never going to get that back again. Same thing with frequency. Okay? When we raise in our frequency, like I said, our abilities come out. And our abilities are here to help us connect with one another, right? My ability is here so that I can teach you by connecting my heart to your heart, so you can feel my words, so you can feel my energy, right? So that you can connect to me right now as you're watching this, so I can help guide you. But my abilities are also for another reason and another purpose. That purpose is combat. Because for as much love as I exude and give out with my guidance and just with my energy in this material world, that love energy I've generated also goes to the ethereal world to combat the negativity. Now here's the thing. You're all babies right now. And I love you. And I really, really do. And if you find my comment to be condescending and rude, well, tough titty on that one. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Because it's truth. You are a baby right now. You're a baby right now, and you have been hit with reality and the hard work that needs to go on to maintain this happiness. But the thing is, because we are all technically adults, we are all babies in terms of our frequency, but we are adults in big bodies, and we make decisions for ourselves. And we go through life, of course, because we are adults. But we are so caught up with our adulting that we've forgotten how to learn. We've forgotten how to learn. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about what I went through at those beginnings. Now, I know if you've been with my videos before, you would have maybe heard my journey before, but I'm going to tell it again in the way in terms of frequency fluctuation. When I first had my eye properly opened, to really the truth of everything, I got myself a pendulum. And when I learned about frequencies, I didn't have anyone there to check my frequency for me. I didn't have anybody there to actually offer me that kind of guidance on how to actively check how to check your frequency. What frequency are you checking for? You know, what does this feel like? What do I trust? Right? I didn't actually have any of that. So the information I'm giving to you is because of pure self-development. You know, the hours of meditation, the hours of yoga going through, calming my mind, strengthening my body, whilst remaining positive, even though I had to deal with going through clearing out the negativity in my own vessel, right? Combating the emotional imbalance that a lot of feminine energies go through, you know, having to combat my entities as they were trying to bring me back down. So I practiced. I focused like nobody's business every day. Instead of asking for the knowledge outside, I looked inwards and I was like, what's my frequency? If I asked it 5 times a day and it gave me 5 different answers, then I'd ask 10 times. But each time I would try to change it. I would try to change the way I'm asking the question because what I was doing wasn't working, so I would change it. Again, I wasn't able to look outside. I had to do this from within my own heart. Okay? So I would ask, is it 5? Is it 5.5? Is it 6? Is it 7? And again, I would go until I got a consistent answer, right? Or I would go until I got frustrated enough to say, you know what, screw it, my mind is too clouded right now. I'm going to have to put this down and wait until I have sorted my vessel out first, right? And I would do it. And each time I was changing the way I questioned things, I was feeling the way I was questioning things. I was feeling my physical aura go into this pendulum. I was looking at my pendulum to see the color of the aura around it and the energy around it. I was looking at, how it swings. What does it feel like? What does a yes feel like? When I get a yes, what does it actually feel like? Not looking at it, not satisfying my eyes, showing me a yes. But whilst it was swinging, what does this feel like? What does the energy feel like? And then when it was no, what does the energy of a no feel like? Right? What does it feel like? And I had to focus in my now moment, in this journey. I had to focus to understand what was going on. Right? And the thing is, because of that intense focus, because I was in my journey, in my moment, when I was actively learning because I wanted to learn, not just because I wanted to be the best psychic in the world, or because I wanted to fulfill this need to teach and guide people that was in my heart. No. I focused because I wanted to learn. I wanted to never have to go through this again because it's hard. It's really, really hard to have to focus that much so constantly. And it was difficult. So I made sure that every time I picked my pendulum up to ask a question, I was bettering myself as I was asking that question, focusing on my feelings so I would know. That's why I don't need this pendulum. I hold it up only because that's a visual for you guys or for the people I'm speaking to. But I don't need it because I feel my energy in my heart. I feel my truth in my heart. And I feel the answers of source, of me. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't focus and understand what my abilities were there for. Now, as I did this, as I progressed, and as I trusted in myself, and as I continually observed what was happening in the moment in terms of what I was doing, if I was focusing on my clairvoyancy, I would meditate and I would literally, it was hard because clairvoyancy was not my initial first gift. It was something that it doesn't come easy to me. I have to develop my voyancy because I'm cognizant and I'm a seer. I deal with words and spells and feelings and empathy. But visions, no, I'm a bookworm. I like to read things. I don't see pictures. So when I had to, but it was still something I had to do, although it was really difficult for me. So when I had to develop my clairvoyancy, I had to sit in meditation and I had to be there with my guide and with myself, with my heart at the time. And I had to be there with my guide. And we went through flash images because I could only keep an image in my mind for literally a flash. So I had to focus and push this image over and over and over again. Every time my mind wanted to wander and visualize something else or conjure up something else that was not what was trying to be shown to me, I had to redirect that. And each time I did it, I tried to focus my mind on something else in that image to get it right so I could hold it. It took an immense amount of commitment and determination. And each time it didn't work, or if I found that it was difficult, I shifted my focus to get to where I needed to be. Again, I had nobody to tell me the answers as to what to do. It was all about feeling it. And that's what we need to do when it comes to frequency. And this is where the fluctuation comes into play, because I know I've already been speaking for 15 minutes. You need to understand that frequency levels do not run off individual levels. Okay? It runs off of a percentage. It runs off a percentage of what your body is. We interpret it into levels because it's easier for us to understand and for us to track. The same way, you know, when you have your phone, the battery on your phone, you have a picture that has like, you know, it has a little, like the battery looks kind of full, but it has a little gray area. And you're just kind of judging like by sight how full your phone battery is versus looking and going, oh, it's 72% full. When you have the physical number, you kind of are able to track it a little bit better as to how much you can spend versus how much you can't spend. So your frequency level is the same. However, you get the number to understand kind of how high or how low, but it really goes off of a percentage. Okay? And it goes off of a percentage because everybody's different. Everybody has a different amount of energy that they are born into this world, incarnated into this world for, to use. And so it is always ran off a percentage. So I'll give you an example. If I'm in a physical frequency of 10, let's say, or let's do this. If my ethereal frequency is 1,000, right? And I made a poor decision, and you know, and I dropped in frequency. You know, maybe I was doing some inner work and I was feeling really low. So for that moment, my frequency dropped because I was kind of going through 3 days of inner work or something like that. So for those 3 days, my frequency would have went down because I'm recalling all of this negative things and my thoughts are not in a positive light because I'm processing. So it's going to go down. So let's say it drops. This inner work has cost me 1% of my thing. So that means I would have went down in 10 levels. So instead of being on level 1,000, I'm now in 990, level 990. Now, here's the thing. If you are high in frequency, if you're really high in frequency, which a lot of people are finding that they're getting really, really high, that 1%. So let's say, I'm going to say my physical frequency, this is, I'm not even going to get you the number of my physical frequency. There's too many freaking zeros and math I can't care about. So, I'm going to give it a billion. Okay, let's say my physical frequency was 1 billion. And if I dropped from this billion, which is, how many zeros here? Which is 8. 8 zeros. No, sorry, 12 zeros. That's why I don't do math. And my physical frequency dropped 1%. I would have went down by 10 million levels. Okay? 10 million levels. Because it's not about the actual level. So if I did inner work and I was miserable for 3 days because I didn't process it fast enough, I would literally, and if I spent 1% of my energy, I would have went down 10 million levels. Whereas you would have only went down 10 levels, right? So you can see where a drastic drop can happen. Now, here's the thing, though. The phrase, as above, so below, right, is very, very much so real when it comes to frequency. And the reason being is the higher in frequency you are, the more negative thoughts that you have in a higher frequency, the more drastic your frequency will lower if you remain or have those negative thoughts. So there was one of the ladies in the group who had like 120 some odd thousand ethereal frequency level. And I recently gave her an update and she was down to about 5,000. And trust me, when I was even getting the frequency, I was like, what? That's crazy. And I had to look into it. And I'm like, what happened there? And the thing is her energy, her frequency of her spirit was siphoned. As she became aware of her frequency level, as she started waking up, because her frequency level was always kind of there, her spirit was vibrating at this level. However, she wasn't aware entirely of who she was and what was going on. As soon as she became aware of this, her entities, her opponents in this game of life became aware. And with that, they became more powerful and they were able to tap into that 120,000 level of energy. And because when we get all this information given to us, and if you didn't go through the process that I went through of really deep work, feeling, commitment, hard ass work, it's really difficult to notice when your energy is being siphoned from you, right? Because at any given point in this day, or in time or in existence, I will know, I feel, if my energy is being siphoned or taken from my vessel, from my body, I know in an instant. I feel it. And then I'm like, what's going on? And I stop it. But if you can't feel it because you've not done the work in order to discover how to feel it, then what happens is day by day, your energy just gets sucked out of you. And the thing is, it's done so subtly that you can't even feel it. Now, depending on what you've done, or depending on what you've gone through during the day, you will find that you could be on 120,000 frequency and drop right back down to 5,000, not know it, not feel it at all. And it can happen. It can take, oh my gosh, I tell you, it can happen in a minute or it can happen over a period of days. It depends on what or who is siphoning it off and what they believe they can get out of you. If they can do a quick wham bam thank you ma'am and literally take from you, like rob you blind in one moment, they'll do it. And the thing is, you don't actually feel the decrease of your aetherial frequency until you've went until you've reached or are very, very close to your own physical frequency. That's when you start really feeling it, right? So if you are really high in aetherial frequency, but your physical frequency is still, 12 or below, you could just get siphoned. Your bank account is being drained and you don't notice it until you are literally parallel with your physical frequency. So that's why I say it's so important to notice and enjoy and pay attention to the journey that you're on. Always pay attention not only to the physical as, like I'm eating clean, I feel great, I'm being positive, life around me is doing well. You gotta focus on the hard stuff with the ethereal too. The meditation. If I've told you what your abilities are, research this. Get on it. Really do the development you need to bring yourself up and hone your skills so that when these little bastards that are trying to siphon your energy are doing it behind your back, you'll be aware and you'll be like, nah, I feel you. I'm stopping you, right? And I know how to stop you because I've done the work to do so. Anyway, I have talked at you a lot. I hope that this video has helped with a little bit more understanding. And I will leave you with this, okay? Feeling frequencies, knowing your frequency, it's all about feeling it in your heart, okay? Your heart is your frequency. You can feel the vibrations if only you focus and if only you make the intent to do so. This will take commitment, focus, determination, meditation, a drive within you for truth and just to get out of this state. And lastly, courage. It's going to take a lot of courage because when you notice these things are happening, they will start to happen more. And the more you use your ignorance of the fact, the more it will simply just happen behind your back until you wake up one day and you find that you have no energy. And things just crash. You have no energy. You can't connect to your spirit. You can't connect to anything. You have no feeling in your heart. You're a little numb. You know, all of these beautiful feelings and connections that you were making before just all of a sudden don't work. And I know because I've had to go through that. There have been times when, during this journey, some of my versions of my entities were able to siphon off a lot of my energy. And I didn't know, and I didn't realize it until one day I woke up and I was like, why am I feeling so horrible? And I caught it in time. But if I had not noticed and I kept using my ignorance, you wouldn't see the Kulipup you see today. I would be back asleep. So please, don't fall asleep again. Don't fall asleep. I know sometimes it can be like, it can feel nice to lay your head on that pillow. But that pillow is on a ship that's sinking. And you need to be awake so you can get on the lifeboat, okay? You got to find your way to that lifeboat. Notice the signs that say exit. All right. That's it. I promise. All right. Love you.